All right, folks. I think we're on. I think this is it. Welcome. It's Wednesday. It is November 30th. And Emil was just here. He says, I have a tennis match now, so he has to go. So he was just checking in. Emil, we appreciate it. Oh, wow. Anyway, I digress. It is Wednesday at our normal, well, not our normal time. The Wednesday live stream has been somewhat of a like movable target lately, and I apologize for that. Those of you who have been around know that I am taking a sojourn into the world of offline work, and like for a mental break, and it's been challenging and scary and awesome and all of the things all at once. I'm just checking my messages because, as we discovered last week, anything can happen. So if you were with us last week, right in the middle of a stream, I got a phone call from a number that I figured was the school, and it turns out it was the school because I needed to come get my son, apparently. Game Guy has done the job of confirming that we can see and hear and all the things. I am dressed in my holiday finery. You know that they have these now at the dollar store, and even though it's like a little cheap, like they're kind of fun to wear to school. And I actually just it's been so cold. It's kind of like a good excuse to wear something in my ears. Saying hi to folks in the chat. There's Sonia and Game Guy and Eric and Zach. Emil was here, but had to go. Our friends Sabina and Margaret. Harold, what's going on? I did get an email invitation from our friend WP Eagle for later in December. It sounds like he is taking on the job this year of doing a holiday stream, to which I am invited, and I'm going to see if I can make it, and also make sure to wear some sort of festive gear like this. I don't really have an excuse now because I have the things. So let's talk business. Let's talk websites before something happens and then the phone call comes and I have to go pick up a sick child. So No Look November, right? No Look November is ending as of today. I feel really good about how No Look November went. For those of you who don't know what No Look November is, it's basically an analytics detox, an analytics break. I did it for the first time last year, and it was extremely difficult. This year, I'm to day 30, and I did not find it difficult at all. I did give myself the freedom to look occasionally if it was for a legitimate business purpose. So no using my phone and looking at analytics while I was in line at the grocery store, or no looking at analytics while I was hanging out watching Christmas movies with the kids or anything else. And I feel like I did really well. I only looked a couple of times, and honestly, it's only been in the last couple of days because I had a legitimate reason to look. So I feel really good about it. And the upside I feel of doing No Look November is that I just, I feel more clear, and I also feel less dramatic about things like RPMs or earnings or traffic ups and downs. Like I just feel more level. So those of you who say, "Oh man, I just don't think that I could do an analytics break," I just cannot. I don't think that not looking at analytics ever is a good idea, because looking at analytics will tell us so much about the health and I guess safety, viability of a project. But just finding a way to look less like, I just feel like I went on a vacation. I just feel better. I have so much more headspace, and I just haven't been on this emotional roller coaster that other people have been on this month. So I did take a look at how things are going, and I can confirm, and maybe we'll do a collect the data in the chat, but I would like to know how folks felt that Black Friday this whole weekend went. I was curious about how things would go, and I will say that for the Mega site, the RPM did spike happily on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Not so much on Cyber Monday, but that makes sense to me because the site isn't one that would be that conducive to digital types of offers. So it's the RPM spiked really nicely, and I was really happy. And I was kind of like a little like this because I was thinking about what the earnings would have been had I had the traffic that I did back in May before all of the updates rolled out. But what are you gonna do? There's nothing we could do. So the Miga site did show a bump in RPM, but the rest of my sites, like the smaller parts of my portfolio, I didn't really see a whole lot of like awesome, good or bad. And talking with some folks, there's a lot of people who seem really disappointed about how Black Friday went, that either RPMs didn't spike as much as they had hoped, or they just, even with, they just didn't get the traffic. I mean, it was sort of like a depressed kind of like, "Meh." I definitely didn't get a lot of conversions out of Amazon, even though I sent a lot of traffic to Amazon over the last couple of days. And I mean, there's so many things that you could potentially take away from that. Potentially the focus on online shopping that was such a big part of COVID. Maybe people are excited about once again going into the store to get the deals. They're not as afraid as they were before. And I mean, it's hard to say what's going on there. Or maybe because the ad rates were down, maybe it's indicative that there wasn't as much marketing going to consumers, and as a result, they purchased less online. It's really tough to say, but I definitely wasn't wowed by physical product conversions compared to maybe the past. But I wasn't expecting to be over the moon about it, frankly, because I was feeling so stable because of my no look November, that is kind of just like them's the haps. Like that's how I feel about it. And I can completely and totally connect my feelings of sort of peace and stability to having taken a month off of analytics for the most part. So I would love to hear from other folks about Black Friday. I did talk to some friends who did say that their RPM spiked on days that they weren't expecting, like they had hoped to see it, on that Friday or maybe even on Thursday on Thanksgiving itself, and then maybe saw them on Sunday or Monday. So it's interesting to hear, and then just to speculate on like the why, like why is it that way? I don't know. One of the questions, I will come say hi to folks in the chat, but Sonia asked, was there a recent Google update? I have not been paying attention to Twitter or Search Engine Journal or anything else, but I will say that I did notice Thanksgiving. Okay, traffic was different on Thanksgiving, and you can't connect an update to Thanksgiving because people aren't, the normal browsing behavior on that day in particular is not indicative of anything because it's not a normal day. But looking at Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I do think something was adjusted over the weekend. And I don't know what, I don't know who, I don't know how, I cannot even speculate, but it's always nice to see a bump. Like the fight site, for example, had a spike, and I was like trying to figure out what exactly is different. In fact, I'm looking at my Google Analytics now because I have a legitimate purpose for it. And it was up 20% for both Monday and Tuesday, which is, I mean, awesome, right? Great. But I'm looking at, the top 10 articles to see, is there anything really obvious that's like spiking? And there's nothing really that exciting. I was going to go look at traffic acquisition to see if there's like a new traffic source, like maybe I was getting a bump from, yeah, it just looks like something was adjusted. I don't know what, I mean, anytime I can roll through an update and maybe see something positive, I'm going to be like, yes, but I don't necessarily know who, what, when, why, or how. And again, because I'm sort of like, meh, like them as the haps about things lately, that I don't care that much for myself personally. I feel for everybody else who may be down, but for me, I'm just like, it's like somebody has been like punching us for weeks, and you're like started to get numb. You're like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's no. Ooh, do you see that we managed also to get our tree up? It looks gigantic in this, and I think that's hilarious. I don't know if you can see. There's the $7 Walmart star that my kids demanded that we get. But yeah, I look super festive right now. It's not even December. This is so unlike me. Other friends rolling in. I see Maeve and Leona. Sabina reports site one is down 30%, that she finally got hit And sorry to hear that, my dear. It's a bummer. Um, it seems like there have been a lot of people getting hit, and I expected to hear a lot of people saying like I'm done. And there's definitely been some postings in like the Affiliate Lab Facebook group and other sites where people are like, I just want to unload this site. I just want to get out. But most of my friends and colleagues who I talk to regularly, or semi-regularly, are not necessarily doubling down, but they're like, I'm in. I'm still in. This isn't enough. I still believe in this business model enough to continue to invest at least my time and money, but at least time. And I still think it works. It's just a matter of figuring out what I need to do better or differently. Eric says, my first site was about ugly Christmas sweatshirts. It did not last. Yeah. If you had, so this sweatshirt right here was made by a company that just focuses on ugly sweatshirts. Or ugly shirts. And I feel like their domain was something like you look ugly or make you look ugly or something. And their whole business was year round. So like gag shirts and sweatshirts. So maybe. Eric says that his RPM went up for about a week before Black Friday. It was nice to see. Yes, I definitely enjoy anytime there's a spike in RPMs. Margaret said, Amelia, do Americans take this week typically as a vacation from work, or is it more likely around Christmas? I'm curious because my hobby site is up in recent days. So that's interesting. Typically, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is maybe the worst traffic day of the entire year because people didn't travel over the weekend and they aren't traveling on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Basically, all the airports are jammed with people trying to travel on Wednesday, and all of the freeways are jammed. And basically, my personal experience and around the country is that Wednesday is one of the worst days ever to travel. I don't necessarily think that people take the week. Well, I'll roll that back. I think there's a certain percent of our population, maybe more affluent folks, who may take the week to do something and take it like a vacation. And I do not consider myself one of them. So for me personally, the week of Thanksgiving is not a holiday. However, there are some schools, like school districts, that just take the whole week off. There's some school districts that and then for a lot of us who are parents, like any vacation that we take is the direct result of whether or not there is school. And it feels like over the years, like the Thanksgiving vacation is getting longer and longer. Like eventually we'll get to the point where there's a whole week. I'll throw it to the chat to see if anybody else has thoughts. I think that there's some folks that take it as a vacation, but not universally, I guess is what I would say. Like Christmas, you say you wanted to compare it to Christmas, and there's a gigantic Christmas break. Most schools are at least off for 2 weeks or maybe even more. There's a lot of people that are off from work during that time, but there's a lot of business that still occurs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and even on Friday around the Thanksgiving holiday. So, and like the Friday after Thanksgiving isn't a government holiday; it's a regular work day. Even though a lot of companies will give, and all the schools will give that Friday off. It could be also that your site was impacted positively by whatever adjusting that Google is doing. And I also have a hobby site that was slightly up over the last week, so could be Google. And I haven't even looked at SERP Robot, so I don't know if maybe that was it. Maybe that was it, but I'm curious to hear what anybody else thinks. Game Guy says, I was down on traffic, clicks, and commissions for Black Friday weekend, which is a bummer. Ordered items on Amazon were down 43% from last year. I see Jen dropping in. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I think that this shopping year is different. And I'm going to blame COVID. I'm going to blame the economy a bit. I think people are feeling a little conservative about, for example, there's a lot of talk about the housing market being a little flatter or even falling a bit right now. And a lot of the, I don't want to say propaganda, is propaganda the right word? A lot of the media that is being served to me lately, either on social media or on Google, like, or news, or, wherever I'm reading news, talks about the economy falling. And so that may mean that people will hold on to their bucks until a little closer to Christmas, just because they're feeling nervous about spending. Game Guy says that for our family, money is tighter than last year. Well, there you go. We certainly spent less on Christmas presents on Amazon and other places too. Jen says that her e-com stores are down 50% and merch by Amazon is up. She said one site got hit with about a 60% drop, but I think that it's potentially due to a technical issue. All right. All right. Leona says that her site's traffic went down substantially. I think that there's a lot of votes here for there being an update of some kind happening. Jen says main site is up 45% in ad revenue and 65% up in organic search. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. D, what's going on? She just got the notification dropping in. Yeah, I don't even think that I've gotten the notification on my phone yet. Google, YouTube loves me and hates me sometimes. Lady D back again. Thanks for dropping in today. Sabina says, I'm behind. The tree is impressive. This is maybe one of the first years ever that we had the tree up this early. We almost always get a tree the weekend of Thanksgiving. But the reason that we had time to put up the tree is that we didn't go up to the snow to get it. There really wasn't any like good snow to go in and play in until Sunday night, which was too late. So it's snowing like crazy up there right now, but we have school. So there. Joanne's dropping in. She said, yikes, late. Hey, everybody. And I say, you should not worry about it because the stream has sort of been a moving target lately. And so it's totally okay for you just to roll in and when you can, or if you're catching it on the replay, let me know. And if you are lurking and working, please let me know in the chat and I can say, hey, and you can continue to get stuff done. Sabina says overall, she's still in, but changing her strategy to something more sustainable, working on networking more because she loves that. I love that. So you look at it and say, okay, what are my strengths? What is working for me and how can I make that work for me? And that's something that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about also towards the end of the year. Say, okay, rather than start a new site, because honestly, that's my go-to, right? Like I figure, oh, like this is broke and this is broke, or this isn't, maybe it's time to start a new site. Because for one, I personally get a lot of enjoyment out of picking a niche and the initial keyword research and the baby steps of a brand new site are just like full of dopamine. Like there's so like so many positive events of reinforcement as things start to happen. But I have this whole portfolio of projects and many of them that seem poised to go somewhere if I could just work on them. Like I have some domains that are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And instead of starting a new site, I feel like I should either get rid of those or work on them and turn them into something that I can. I mean, they're just like sitting on these domains. Like I should do something with them. Lady D says she's also looking to diversify. Google comes with too much stress. Started with Forex trading for diversification. I totally feel that. And if you feel like that's working, let me know. I've always been curious because I get served a ton of content for people about Forex, but it just seems risky to me. I don't know why. Sports Story says, hey guys, happy belated Thanksgiving and happy Thanksgiving to you and to any and all who celebrate it. And for those of you, I can just send out happy, like thankful wishes, thankful that you are out there and that you are here with us and that we are friends. Friends, is that close enough? With the reindeer antlers, when I say friends, like it, it looks kind of like a dog going, oh, D says everything is down. I'll keep at it, but I'm too stubborn to give up. You know, I have been through, I feel like the emotional whirlpool, roller coaster, like anything turbulent this year, which is so hard because I'm in year 4 and I thought for sure back in year 1 that by year 4, if I was still doing it, that I would be swimming in in coins like Scrooge McDuck by now, that I would have like a room full of it, that I would just be climbing on cash. Oh man. Jen says she's excited but waiting for the other shoe to drop. So here's the thing. I think that like normalizing Google as being a risky sort of like a source of traffic is probably healthy, because it's always been a risky business, like a risky move to just completely focus the entire health and viability on of your site on one source of traffic. So it's been a wake up call for many of us, me included. It is for those of us who want to continue on it. This is the kick in the pants that maybe a lot of us continue to need to work on other aspects of monetization and traffic for these sites, so that we're safer, right? If you're quitting your job and burning the boat, it's not safe or healthy to be like you have your whole livelihood focused on one single source of traffic. So it has, I think, turned the lens, like focused us on the fact that this is a truth. It's always been a truth, and now it's in our faces. So it's not necessarily a reason to give up. It's just been smacked in the face with the truth. It's always been there, and now we're aware of it. Now we're aware of it. Eric says that he doesn't remember his American colleagues taking the full week off around Thanksgiving. The boss usually told us to go home at noon, and we had the afternoon free. Yeah, it's not really. I think there's a certain subset potentially of our socioeconomic strata that would get the whole week of Thanksgiving off, or would take it off, or take the kids out of school to do something like go skiing or go to Hawaii, or go on a trip, which is awesome for them. I just don't belong to it. What is the plan for 2023, says Maeve? That is the hard-hitting question. That is the hard-hitting question. I will say that my sojourn into the offline world a little bit was really challenging. Some of you know that, and I probably said it, but I had the opportunity to be a substitute teacher consistently 5 days a week for my kids' class. And at first it was really hard. And then in the last couple of weeks, I started to get better at it, and started to think that because I do enjoy it, that I might want to continue doing it. So my 2023 may include more of a work online and work offline balance that I haven't had to create in the last couple of years, because I've been full time here. And the reason I was full time here is that I still had daughter at home part time. And so I couldn't necessarily have a job, because I needed to make sure that I was available on the days that my daughter was at home. And now she's in school and loves it. And so it's just like, would this be a cool opportunity? Would this be a good time to have some offline money coming in while I still sort out what happened in 2022 and figure out the strategy for 2023? So, yeah, things may change. I don't know if I'll be streaming, or if I will be working on all of my sites at once, or if it will be video, but I definitely do expect to see some things happening different in 2023. I definitely am keen to try and figure out how to make video more of a part of my overall earning mm, plans. Um, and that may be like, I don't want to say retreating, but again, like going back and looking at the foundational aspects of my all of my various income streams, and saying, okay, rather than start something new, this stream over here makes $100 or $200 a month. Could I take something that is already working and turn it into another $1,000 stream? And rather than necessarily being so fired up about trying to make one project into a huge earner, could I continue to bolster and make myself feel personally more secure by having multiple different income streams? Now, I know the risk in this is that when you spread yourself all out, you tend not to make anything succeed. So I'm just ruminating a lot on this, and starting to, I guess, practice or making some inroads and saying, okay, like, can I make this into something um, more valuable and viable for my overall business? So I don't have a concrete or secure plan, and I probably won't for a while, but I'm okay with that. Like, I look at this as a long-term strategy and plan, and I want to see, I just, I'm comfortable spending some time thinking about it and working on things. Eric says that his main site is trending up slowly after the HCU drop of around 20 to 25%. Well, that's positive. The Mega site is down um, close to 50%, which is a real kick in the teeth. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm just sort of like chilling a little bit, because I invested a lot of time and a lot of money into the project in 2021 and 2022. I mean, the upside is that the site is overall profitable, right? So I haven't lost money on the site. So every dollar that I have invested into the site, I've already earned back. So even though the earnings are not what I wanted them to be by the end of year two, I will say, it's still a valuable asset. And it's still, if I invest, like I invested no money into it in the month of November, and it still earns money. Now, I am cognizant, and I do recall the comments of um, colleagues previously who mentioned that they thought it was a really bad idea to stop publishing on a site, to let it sit, especially one that previously had a lot of momentum. And I do agree with that. And so I think in the future for that site in particular, I am going to allocate some of the revenue every month to continuing to post new content to the site as I continue to explore what it is that needs to be improved with the site. I still feel like there's a lot of adjusting going on with Google, though. So, I mean, you look at the last week, you can continue to see that there's stuff happening. So I'm still like, about going in and doing like a global overhaul, because I'm still waiting for that traffic to just stabilize, right? That's all I want to see. I want to see 2 or 3 months where the site goes like this. And then I will know that I have a baseline to go ahead and then start changing things and then saying, okay, rather than, sorry, that's the garbage man outside. He's parked instead of doing something, which is weird. I just want to like see like what the new normal looks like, so that I can tell if I make an adjustment that it actually has an impact, and I'm just not there yet. Sports Story says, yes, yes, always know that Daddy Google is not a saint. Be real, guys. Sabina says that it makes her feel more like a real business owner. Says can't follow any set plan, and success doesn't feel so imminent anymore. So that's probably healthy. So it doesn't feel like a scheme anymore, right? It feels like you're treating it like a real business, and people don't just like stop going to work because they had a bad month on a particular business. It's just that's the haps, and then we got to figure out what to do about it to overcome that. Eric says, speaking to Maeve, she says he has not decided. That's I will kick that question to the entire chat then, because I answered it, Maeve's question, as if it was directed at me. But I would love to hear from folks also who have not thrown in, because I can see there's a lot of comments down below. Maybe there's folks who are saying this, but what are you going to do in 2023? Is it going to be different? Are you going to start new projects? I would love to start this conversation with folks and really start to see what are people going to do? What are you going to do? Uh, let's see. Eric says, I'm not decided, but I want to build on the authority, start getting additional links, build a YouTube channel, maybe start Pinterest. Still to be decided. You and me both. Sabina says that she's jumping into a meeting. Great to see you all. We will catch you another time. Jen says that she's going to keep throwing SEO darts and see what sticks. May try out YouTube, but not sure on that. Eric says 50% drop. Ouch, that's huge. Yes. However, I don't know this for certain, but there may be a small amount of seasonal situation happening, because it is a hobby site, and this hobby is most often done when the weather is good because it is outside. So for folks who are in places where the weather is not good, it would make sense for the traffic to like it, around the site to fall. Um, but again, I'm just not obsessing about it. It is painful though. It's super painful. Leslie drops in, made it to the live stream. There's a lot of folks who are like, I made it. And the stream has been a moving target lately. And that's not your fault. That is completely my fault. The streaming time may end up being adjusted in 2023. Um, I want to keep doing it though, because I think that it's still a good outlet and a chance to interact with people. Uh, the views on the stream are definitely down, and I take full responsibility for that. My head has not been fully here, especially in November, because it's been no look November. So I can't always talk necessarily about what my sites are doing because I don't know half the time. Eric said, I did comment on your video last week. Yes, that was you. I knew somebody said that. He said, I would continue to publish a few articles regularly to signal Google to still pay attention. And he says, and just before seasonality, he would update the past best 20% performing articles. He says he thinks it will really help. I do think that I'm going to be doing, regardless of what the site does, is an internal links overhaul. I think 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, oh my God, when I started that site, my internal linking strategy was maybe more broad, and I didn't have as much content on the site. So I would like to go back and tighten up what is linking to what, um, and maybe not have so many links to things, just like setting a plan, like, okay, just having this many links and really thinking about what the links are signaling versus just trying to create as many links as possible, which was probably my strategy 2 years ago. Sports Story says, it feels really bad when you take some time to learn the game, play it by its rules, and when it starts to be fun, the rules are turning, yes, 180 degrees overnight. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. But you know what? If this year causes a lot of people to jump ship, I mean, leave the playing field, like, great, like, leave it open for the rest of us. That's fine. I mean, bummer that it happened, but if you want to leave, like, see you later. Adios. Maeve says that in 2023, her main aim is to revive Site 1. She knows it's too broad, so it really needs to tighten clusters and give it some some DADR. It's punching above its weight. Maeve says, I want to get my ecom relaunched as a blog and get it to Mediavine levels. It's a strong domain. It just needs a lot of planning. Eric says, yes, update plus interlink plus video in the article seems to be a good mix in the eyes of Google. That is one thing that I have been debating doing, that I've been like hemming and hawing about for the Mega site, is starting a YouTube channel for it. I'm a little intimidated by starting a whole new YouTube channel because I have a hard enough time making and editing video as it is. Like one 6 or 7 minute video, pretty much, I would say it takes me the whole day, but pretty close. Pretty close, because I spend the first part of the day like getting jazzed up and fired up about it. And then, like to get ready, like, like punching at the mirror for a while, like, like I need to get ready. Oh, wow. That's interesting. I was just cycling through because I have Google Analytics open, and I was like, oh, like, what is going on here? And I was just checking my sites overall, and I was looking at my Otis Global age domain, and there's a fairly big spike on the 28th and the 29th. Interesting. I just wasn't even paying attention. Not quite double, but close for the days. So the number of users for Saturday and Sunday. Oh, interesting. I don't know what's up, that watching the Otis Global site, how it has performed and sort of handled the update, really it makes it hard. It makes it hard to ignore the fact that some of what is happening here has to do with authority and links. People say, that it has to do with like like the quality of your content, right? Like what is it that you made, or it had to do with Jasper, like all these things. But it's hard to ignore that when this site in particular, which by the way, the content on it is not amazing. I've written almost none of it, and it was outsourced at the lowest quality level to buy sell text, and then the rest of it was done with Jasper and kind of in a hurry, right? Because I was just trying to publish as much as possible. I don't think the content on the site is that good, right? But it has seemed to, it did well in the, I'm like scrolling back, like looking back, first the year basically, like it had a hard time getting started. So it was like dead, 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 dead until March, and then started to move a little bit when I was working on indexing, like using the index me now situation, which started to get a little bit of traffic. And then in the May update, it just really started to blossom. And then, I mean, I've stayed out of this, right? I haven't hardly looked at it. But then in September, I haven't posted any new content to the site for a couple of months. I'm embarrassed to say, but that's just how it happens, guys. But in August and September, like every one of these updates, it just seems to, I might have to do I might have to do a video to be able to show you the graph. I can definitely see that there was a dip for the Thanksgiving holiday, and there's like it was up in September and then down a little bit in October, but then back up in November. And it's not at all product focused. So there's no, people aren't shopping. It's just an info site. Like people aren't going there because it has anything to do with the holidays or anything else. It's hard to ignore the fact that it probably has something to do with authority. Like Maeve said, talking about how her main site was punching above its weight. The mega site was probably fighting above its weight, and it was probably like didn't, put up air quotes, deserve to have 150,000 page views a month in 16 months, right? Or whatever it was before it went. So that's just maybe a good way to like wrap my mind around it. So yeah, I'm bummed that it lost 50% of traffic. And I've heard Kyle Roof say this, said updates, they aren't meant to slam people. It's just meant to put sites where they belong, which is really hard to swallow when you hear that, because you're like, my site is good. But honestly, how many of us are out there in the fight with a brand new site, or a site in its first year, or a site in its third year, right? And like doing amazing things with it. But I definitely have not done a whole lot with links, and I probably should work on a strategy for that. Anyway, Sports Story says, "Nah, still here to play and have fun." Yeah, we're talking about getting out of the game earlier. By the way, if you're in the chat, will you smash the like button? It just makes me feel good. I don't think it does anything. He says, Sports Story says, by the way, this gives me a chance to think outside the box. He said, I don't always think on my feet. Sometimes thinking upside down helps. Niche Side Dojo dropping in saying nice antlers. And I say thank you, friend. I did want to note that your video niche site numbers behind selling a $300,000 niche site. I'm actually going to share that in the chat, because you had disclosed recently that you had sold a site, and so I just putting the link in the chat for folks who want to go and check it out. I'm putting it on my watch later list. It says you break down the numbers behind selling a website for $300,000 with Empire Flippers and what it is that you ended up with at the end. I think that's something I would like to check out, and I encourage anybody else to support our friend but congratulate him on like wrapping up that sale, which is awesome. Leslie says, that's interesting about the age domain. It's frustrating when you push the boat out on making top-notch content and then a cruddy article with higher DA outranks you. I think you just got to accept the world as it is and then figure out a way to turn it to your advantage. Maeve says, agent authority is key, I think. I think news sites without much backlinks are having their wings clipped a bit. Me. So me. Jen says, I still have about 100 articles in discovered but not indexed, but occasionally a bunch get indexed and then I get a traffic spike. Yes. I actually, in 2023, in doing my overhaul, I will be utilizing my SERP robot account for the Migi site, which I have not been tracking keywords at all over there, and just get a confirmation of where things are at and then what is indexed or not. Dojo says he woke up and recorded that this morning, still puffy faced. Oh, well, better published and done than in the hopper. Eric says he will watch this right after this. Me too. Well, maybe not right after this. It might be later, but that's okay. So I have stayed out of the Icarus accountability group. And Josh Coop, if you catch this on the replay, you are free to hammer me about that. But I am going to go over to the Icarus spreadsheet now. And I'm planning on creating the December tab. And I will do that before the end of day. Well, basically, as soon as I get off of this live stream. And I am going to check in to see how friends are doing. There's a lot of, there's a handful of new people in there, which is awesome. And I feel bad about not getting in there and supporting the cause or the team, but that's just them's the haps. Yep. Pretty active in there, which is awesome. I love to see that. And I will make a new one for December. And I'm going to actively work on one being more a better team member, and also just to be more active in general and publish a bit more. Friends, I'm probably going to run. It is time. It is time. I have a lot to do and the day is flying. But hey, I wanted to thank those of you who checked in and came in and are here every week or every other week, or even just randomly when you can get it or on the replay. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. I wish the best for everyone. And the plan is to be here again next week around the same time. Maybe not exactly. But yes, I'll talk to you soon. All right. Take care. I can't find the pointer. I can't turn it off. There we go.